Welcome to another deep dive, this time into a Cold War relic hiding in plain sight.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Yeah, so we're talking about a Nike missile base right in the middle of Everglades National Park.
Wow.
You sent over some really fascinating sources on this, including personal accounts from veterans who were stationed there, some old construction records, and even some Park Service info.
It's funny. We often think of the Everglades as this pristine wilderness,
Right?
but during the Cold War, it was on the front lines of potential nuclear conflict.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild juxtaposition of alligators and missiles.
Right.
To get this, I think we need to jump back to 1962,
Okay.
the Cuban Missile Crisis. You
Yep.
know, that 2-week standoff where the U.S. and the Soviet Union were basically staring each other down?
Oh, yeah, nukes practically on the
Yeah,
table.
yeah, exactly.
That crisis was a real turning point. The U.S. realized just how vulnerable the southeastern coast was.
Makes sense.
I mean, imagine Soviet missiles in Cuba just 90 miles from Florida's coast, and very little in terms of defense down there.
Okay, so that makes the location of this base, HM-69, make a lot more sense.
Exactly.
So the U.S. scrambles to beef up their defenses.
Yeah.
What was their initial response? Was it anything like those old photos you see of soldiers setting up missile launchers in fields?
Not quite feels, but yeah, that initial response was a rapid mobilization.
Okay.
The 2nd Missile Battalion, 52nd Air Defense Artillery Group, they were deployed to South Florida.
Wow.
I mean, picture this.
Yeah.
Soldiers setting up camp in tents, surrounded by sawgrass and mosquitoes,
Oh, yeah.
all while the world's holding its breath, wondering if nuclear war is about to break out.
That's a crazy image.
It was a tense time.
Yeah, so this temporary setup eventually becomes HM-69, which our sources describe as being smack dab in the hole in the donut.
Hole in the donut. Yeah, that nickname says it all.
What do you mean?
Well, they needed wide-open airspace for early warning and interception,
Right.
plus a location isolated enough to minimize damage if those missiles actually had to launch.
Makes sense.
The Everglades fit the bill, ironically, providing this pocket of security amidst a national park dedicated to preserving nature.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want to be launching a missile from downtown Miami.
No, not at all.
I can't even imagine the challenges of building a full-blown missile base in that kind of terrain.
Right.
We're talking swamps, alligators. The works.
It was an engineering feat for sure.
Yeah.
The high water table meant no underground silos like you might see elsewhere. Everything had to be built above ground. 22 buildings total, including these massive missile barns.
Wait, missile barns?
Yeah, that's actually what they called them.
Like something a farmer would build.
Kind of.
I need you to paint me a picture of these things. What did they look like?
So imagine reinforced concrete structures, each housing multiple Nike Hercules missiles.
Okay.
These barns had huge protective berms around them designed to absorb potential blasts.
Wow.
And then there were the barracks administrative buildings, a missile assembly area, all designed to be self-sufficient, running 24/7.
And all built on swampy ground.
It was quite a feat.
So we've got this image of this futuristic military base rising out of the Everglades.
Yeah.
But our sources mention something even more bizarre. Pink barracks.
Pink barracks, yeah. It sounds crazy, but there was a strategic reason behind it.
Okay, I'm listening.
They believed the pink would blend in with the surrounding landscape, especially at dawn and dusk,
Interesting.
camouflaging the base from enemy aircraft.
So they were practically trying to hide in plain sight.
Exactly.
Like a giant flamingo blending into a flock.
You got it.
Okay, I am totally hooked.
Good.
We've got this Cold War missile base, disguised in pink, built on swampland.
It's quite a story.
What's next?
Well, let's dive into the lives of the soldiers stationed at HM-69.
Okay.
Imagine living with the constant threat of nuclear war, knowing your base could be a primary target.
Yeah.
This has been incredible.
So we've got this top secret, pink-hued missile base, smack dab in the middle of the Everglades.
Right in the heart of it.
What must it have been like to be one of the soldiers stationed there?
It was a unique experience, to say the least.
Yeah, I bet.
One of our sources, Charles Carter, actually served at HM-69.
Oh, wow.
He describes living in tents amidst the swampland,
Really?
surrounded by tomato fields and cow pastures.
That's a far cry from the glamorous image of military life we often see.
It definitely wasn't glamorous.
Sweltering heat mosquitoes, alligators.
Oh, yeah.
And, oh yeah, the constant threat of nuclear annihilation.
Right.
How did they even cope with all that?
Carter emphasizes the camaraderie.
Okay.
These soldiers relied on each other for support,
Makes sense.
finding humor in the face of danger.
But it wasn't all fun and games, right?
Definitely not.
I mean, they were acutely aware of the responsibility they carried,
Absolutely.
knowing that the fate of the world could rest on their
It's
shoulders.
a lot of pressure.
That must have been an incredible weight to bear, especially for young men barely out of their teens.
It was.
Did that constant pressure ever seep into their daily lives?
Absolutely. Carter recounts this chilling anecdote about a common saying among the soldiers:
What was it?
"We're all going to die today."
Wow.
That gives you a sense of the ever-present tension they lived with.
Yeah, it really does.
It's hard to grasp what it must have been like to live with that kind of uncertainty day in and day out.
I can only imagine.
Their resilience is remarkable.
It really is.
Imagine playing cards, sharing meals, trying to maintain some sense of normalcy,
Right.
all while knowing that at any moment an alarm could sound.
And
They could be thrust into a conflict with unimaginable consequences.
it's almost surreal.
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of surreal, let's talk about that launch bunker.
Okay.
Our sources paint this picture of a small underground space crammed with soldiers and equipment,
Yeah, it wasn't a luxurious setup.
all eyes glued to radar screens.
The tension in that bunker must have been palpable.
I bet.
6 soldiers huddled around those screens,
Yeah.
monitoring for any sign of an incoming threat.
Every blip on the radar could be a Soviet bomber, potentially carrying nuclear weapons.
So they were constantly on edge,
Yeah.
knowing that they might only have minutes to react if an attack was launched.
Every second counted.
Exactly.
And their primary weapon was the Nike Hercules missile.
Right.
You mentioned some pretty impressive stats earlier.
Who did?
41 feet long, over 10,000 pounds, capable of reaching speeds over 2,700 miles per hour.
It was a powerful piece of technology.
To put that speed into perspective,
Yeah,
the Nike Hercules launched faster than some modern space rockets.
it did.
It had?
It was designed for rapid acceleration and near instantaneous takeoff
Right.
to intercept enemy aircraft before they could reach their targets.
But I'm curious, what kind of destructive power did these missiles actually pack?
Initially, the Nike Hercules missiles were equipped with conventional warheads.
Okay.
But as the Cold War escalated, later versions were certified to carry nuclear warheads.
Whoa, nuclear warheads.
Yeah,
That takes the level of responsibility to a whole new level.
it does.
These soldiers weren't just defending against an attack.
Yeah.
They were potentially holding the power to unleash unimaginable destruction.
That decision to equip the Nike Hercules with nuclear warheads was controversial even at the time.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There were serious debates about the potential consequences of using such weapons,
I bet.
both the immediate devastation and the long-term radioactive fallout.
It's a stark reminder of just how precarious the situation was during the Cold War.
It really is.
And it makes the fact that HM-69 never had to fire a shot in anger even more significant.
You're right.
But eventually the base was deactivated in 1979.
Yeah, well-
What led to that?
Well, the geopolitical landscape was shifting.
Okay.
The SALT Treaty, coupled with advancements in missile technology,
Uh-huh.
rendered the Nike Hercules and bases like HM-69 obsolete.
So rather than being forgotten, HM-69 was recognized as a National Register of Historic Place in 2004.
Thankfully, yes.
We could have lost this incredible piece of history.
We could have.
It seems like it's more than just a collection of old buildings and rusty missiles, though, right?
It is.
It's a place where history comes alive, especially thanks to the efforts of veterans like Charles Carter.
Absolutely. Charles Carter and others recognized the historical significance of HM-69.
Mm.
Their dedication ensured that this site, once a symbol of potential destruction, was preserved and transformed into a place of learning and reflection.
So it went from a potential flashpoint in the Cold War to a National Register of Historic Place.
That's right.
That's quite a journey.
It is.
I have to ask, what's it like to visit HM-69 today? Can people actually go there?
You absolutely can.
Really?
Today, HM-69 is a popular destination for visitors to Everglades National Park.
That's so cool.
National Park Service offers guided tours during the winter months,
Okay.
giving people a chance to step back in time and experience this unique piece of Cold War history firsthand.
That's amazing. You can actually walk through the missile barns, see the launch pads,
Yeah.
and imagine what it was like to be one of those soldiers stationed there.
It's an immersive experience.
Wow.
Visitors can explore the buildings, see artifacts from the era,
Uh-huh.
and even stand before a restored Nike Hercules missile.
Okay, I'm adding this to my bucket list.
You should.
But beyond the physical site itself, what's the bigger takeaway?
That's a good question.
What can we learn from HM-69?
It's a multifaceted story.
Okay.
HM-69 serves as a chilling reminder of a time when the world teetered on the brink of nuclear war.
Yeah, for sure.
But it also offers a glimmer of hope.
Hope.
Yeah, hope.
I'm intrigued. How so?
By understanding the past, Learning from the mistakes and triumphs of those who came before us,
Okay.
we can work towards a more peaceful and secure future.
I like that.
HM-69 stands as a testament to the importance of diplomacy, dialogue, and understanding in preventing conflict.
That's powerful.
It's a message that resonates even more strongly today as geopolitical tensions rise once again.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
It also makes you appreciate the sacrifices made by those who served during the Cold War, like the soldiers at HM-69.
They lived under immense pressure,
They did.
knowing that their actions could have global consequences.
Absolutely.
Their dedication and courage deserve our utmost respect.
They do. It's incredible to think that this site, once bristling with missiles and tension, is now a place where people can learn about history and reflect on the fragility of peace.
It really is a testament to the transformative power of history and to the people who made sure it wasn't bulldozed and forgotten.
Right. We owe a lot to those veterans, especially Charles Carter, who pushed to preserve HM-69 and share its story.
Because, history isn't just dates and battles. It's about the human experience.
Yeah.
HM-69 brings that to life. It's not just about the Cold War.
Yeah.
It's about the individuals who served there, the choices they made, the daily realities they faced.
And it makes you wonder, knowing what they went through, living with that constant threat, how did it shape their outlook on life?
That's the real question that lingers, isn't it? Here they were in this remote corner of the Everglades, entrusted with weapons capable of unimaginable destruction. Did it make them more cautious, more aware of the fragility of peace?
Or maybe even more determined to live life to the fullest, knowing how quickly things could change.
It's a powerful thought, and it's a reminder that history is never truly in the past. It shapes who we are, how we see the world.
You've given us so much to think about. From the brink of nuclear war to a peaceful national park, HM-69's story is one of contrasts, resilience, and the enduring human spirit.
And a reminder that history is often hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.